Darlington Speedway has had many names over its 60-plus year history. Today, we welcome you to America's frying pan. See that asphalt? Right this moment, it measures 125 degrees. And as they say in the South, it's only going to get hotter. Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Lady in Black, the track too tough to tame. We just know it is Darlington. We love this place because of the competition it provides. It's an action track. You race the racetrack. It's fun to watch, Daryl. Is it fun to drive here?
Well, I feel sorry for the poor old driver. I really do. I was listening on the scanner earlier, and the crews, everybody tells the driver what he should be doing. The crew chief says, you're going in too low. Spotter says, you need to get closer to the wall. So the poor old driver, he's trying to run around here in 29 seconds, making all these adjustments. So he does everything he's told, and then he hits the wall, and they say, why, you got too close. You got too close to the wall.
Yeah, talking about the poor old driver, I kind of feel sorry for the poor old crews, because what we've seen here in the past is this racetrack, when it was built for speeds at about 120, maybe 130 miles an hour. They're trying to run speeds here now that are suited for a 1.5 or 2 mile racetrack. Now, during most practice sessions, I like to look at charts. I like to see who's the fastest. I like to see who's fastest 5-lap, 10-lap average. But let me show you Larry Mack's chart for this Darlington practice. Right now, it's pretty much blank, but I promise you, when these 3 hours of practice are over, this will be full. I'll probably have to go to page 2.
Sound like Paul Harvey. And now page 2.
Page 2. New colors for the young fellow who won last week's race at Richmond. And I think we're going to have to retire the moniker Wild Thing, because last Saturday night he put on a clinic and looked anything but. That was a championship caliber driver, Matt, who won at Richmond.
Absolutely, Mike, and he's looking for a page 2 here at Darlington, looking for another Sprint Cup Series win, looking for his win back-to-back. Last week, like you mentioned, Richmond, then here in Darlington. And Kyle said basically this place is fun yet challenging. It's a fun place to drive, but so challenging. Try to get that extra of speed in the race car. The agenda, he says, when he comes to Darlington is simple. He goes for balance, then he works on the speed of the race car, and then during the end of practice, they're also working on longevity. But he says this place is like one of the most historical and e-ticket rides in all of motorsports. To Chris Devoto.
Greg Biffle started out the year about as consistent as anyone can. 6 straight top 10s. You know, April brings showers for many. For Greg Biffle, it's been a drought the last month. So why would this place, one of the toughest tracks, be one that has him smiling to get out of that slump? Because it's one of his best tracks. 2 wins back-to-back in 05 and 06. He told me before he got in the car he loves this place. How anxious was he to get out on the track? Well, they went out with tools still stuck on the car. He radioed in and said, somebody better get out here. They're okay now.
Thanks, Krista. No more calls, please. We have 2 contestants for Larry Mack's chart. Let's begin. Dale Jr. has skinned up the side of the 88. You're riding with Martin Truex. Here we go, Daryl.
Yep, looks like the Mountain Woo car just got into the wall.
And he had only run 2 laps in this 88 car. This is coming through turns. This is 1 and 2, I think, isn't it? Yeah, 1 and 2.
Turn 2 is where he hit the wall.
Joey Logano, the 20 car, this was on the exit of turn 4 as he was following Ryan Newman in the 39 car.
Now, Larry, I was talking to a bunch of guys from the nationwide practice earlier. They say some reason turn 4 is creating havoc for these teams, that it appears that everybody's trying to run a higher line off of that corner than normal. Normally you go in and you coast, you let it run right up to the wall in the middle of the corner. Then you try to kind of cut it down and almost clip the apron coming off of turn 4 here. But today, for whatever reason, they're trying to run a little bit higher. There's no grip up there. A lot of dirt, as you can see.
And looking at 4, you're right, Daryl. Half the drivers are diamonding the racetrack, going high up between 3 and 4, cutting back down to an apex, and half of them are just trying to rim ride. And the track's not wide enough to do all those things, is it?
There's just not a lot of grip right on exit to turn 4. Cars just haven't been up there. You can see the asphalt is real white and dirty, and that's where they're getting in trouble.
Looks like they're ready to roll the 88 backup car out, and we're only 5 minutes into this first of 2 practice sessions.
The angle he hit the wall, he brushed it, and then it turned into the wall. Hard not to do some right front suspension damage.
Yeah, it hit hard, Mike. It really did.
Yeah, with this car, if you just pancake it, you'll normally come in, they'll check the rear end housing, they'll check the toe out, toe in on the front, bang the right side out. But when you hit it right rear, right front, that normally does some pretty good damage.
Just got another one, Larry. A white car coming off turn 4 now. Just got up in the wall. 34 car.
The A&W root beer car has skinned up the side.
And that's actually Travis Quapple, and he was 18th quickest so far in this practice session.
Brand new paint job. Root beer float would go well right about now.
Yes, it would.
He would have liked to have floated that one in there, but
yes.
I think she went bottom up.
Scrape the right side pretty good. Or pretty bad, depending on your choice of grammar.
It is.
Here's a look.
Or it was. Or it shall be.
So even racing the racetrack here has perils.
Yeah, we're getting about 1 a lap right now.
You don't need to be side by side. You don't need a gaggle of cars out there. You need to do a slide just a little.
That in and of itself tells you how difficult it is when we put 43 cars out there using the only preferred line around here. There's only one groove around here, really, that's safe.
See Matt Kenseth in the 17 car. Matt's actually our track record holder. Set that track record a year ago. Right now, way down the practice sheet, 34th quickest.
Speed's presentation of NASCAR Sprint Cup practice from Darlington is brought to you by the Sponsifier. Visit ToyotaRacing.com, click on Design It, enter it. By Tornadoes, bold is how we roll. And by Honda Generators. Honda, the power of choice. Kurt Busch, number 2 on the roof, number 2 on the practice chart. 172 miles an hour, second to Denny Hamlin right now.
You know, I've been anxious to see, or not anxious, I'm just curious, I guess more anxious, to see how the way the spoiler hangs over the right side quarter panel. Been wondering when these guys get into the wall, that thing is strong, Larry. You know, the way they build that rear blade, I mean, that thing is strong. It's going to do some damage if it hits the wall.
And that was a concern with a lot of the crew chiefs in the garage area this morning, unlike when we had the wing.
Tony Stewart hoping for a rebound from Richmond, and we were happy last week to get the story of Luke Warmwater, a.k.a. Smoke Johnson, on for you.
I ain't going there.
Well, and thanks to our buddy John
But
Potts.
John Potts knows.
Filling in all the details for us.
Big John knows, let me tell you.
But you know, Mike, you say rebound from Richmond. They're trying to rebound, period. When you look at their last 6 races, they have dropped 10 spots in the points. And on the flip side of that, Ryan Newman, the 39, his teammate, has went 10 spots ahead in the last 6 races. So this team's, they're missing something right now, and they're wondering what it is.
Ooh. Slide there.
Grip. A little grip would help.
Down to the 88 garage, and Matt.
Mike, right now, looking at Joey Logano's car, cosmetically, that car looked worse than Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s. Lance McGrew was just underneath the car. NASCAR's here. They're looking to see how severe the damage is, whether that will force them to a backup or not. Just looking inside the trunk and also the wheel well, you can see the crush panels are definitely wrinkled. So right now they're discussing options at this juncture. We'll update soon.
Yeah, NASCAR has to say the car is damaged beyond repair and you can get out your backup. You can't just go roll it out and say, oh yeah, we're not going to race that one anymore. Because we've had some guys through the years that would scrape them up against things so they didn't have to, so they could get their backup out.
Elliott Sadler carrying Hunt Brothers Pizza this week. 30th in the standings.
Now this is a new.
Pretty good.
This is a new tire combination that Goodyear has brought here, and it was based on a test that was done in early March. Elliott Sadler was one of those teams, as well as Marcos Ambrose and Clint Boyer, and it's a different right and a different left side. It's actually the right side that we're going to run at Charlotte Motor Speedway this month, but both combinations of changes is just to give more overall grip to the car from last year.
Mark Martin on track. He's currently 9th quickest, Krista.
And Mike, when he came back in, he actually felt pretty good about his car. He did tell the crew, at this kind of track, I can't start like that, meaning too loose. He said, I've got to start a little tighter and then go from there. The crew did tell him they tried something a little bit different different. They made the adjustments to go back to how they normally start a practice session. So that's the kind of setup he has in his car right now. They will adjust throughout the next hour or so on where they started with that baseline.
Well, thanks, because we're expected to see Mark in the top 5 in the opening minutes of practice, and he was not. So there's the reason why.
One thing I'm noticing, Larry, these cars are yawed out quite a bit for a track like this. So everybody's trying to get max downforce, sticking that blade on the right side out in the wind, trying to tighten these cars up.
Well, Darrell, I mean, it's a mile and a third racetrack, but you mentioned the word grip. That's what this is all about: mechanical grip and aero grip. It's not necessarily about how fast you can make your car.
Ryan Newman just jumped up to 15th on the chart from the high 30s in the Haas Automation number 39. Let's go back down to the 88 garage.
Mike, at this juncture, the Mountain Dew Chevrolet is going to stay as is. The crew's going to work on it a little while longer. Dale Jr. still in the race car. They're going to jack up the left side, do some more changes. He was just debriefing Lance McGrew about, even though it was a short 2 laps, what he was experiencing on the racetrack with that car.
Well, he probably, based on the fact that they want to get a backup out immediately, tells me that he must have really not liked that car.
That, or they were getting the backup out to get it ready to get it out.
Well, there you go. Just in case.
This is one of those places where you'd almost go ahead and have the oil plugged in.
Denny Hamlin is fast. I'm sorry, that's not funny if you're a car owner or a crew chief.
Not at all.
Have it unbuckled and have the oil tank warming up.
Joey Logano sitting in, and here's JP Montoya coming over to talk to Joey and debrief a little bit, because he was right behind Logano when Logano hit the wall. Let's show you what Juan is explaining.
There you see the 42 car, the target car, right behind him.
Sometimes it helps to get an opinion from outside the car, and sometimes. Rolling out another number 88.
Just in case.
Dale Jr. Jeff Burton has jumped to 3rd on the chart. You know, Jeff Burton and Jeff Gordon, here's 2 fellas, 2 veterans, 2 career, know how to win, how to get the job done drivers, and this year they've done everything except stand in victory lane, the 2 of them.
But I'm going to tell you what, looking right now, and I know it's early, 17 minutes into it, Mike. You look, we've got Jeff Burton 3rd. We've got his teammates Clint Boyer 5th and Kevin Harvick 6th. Those Childress cars right up there. In fact, Richard Childress is going to be one of our guests on trackside later on tonight.
I wouldn't say Jeff Burton is a David Pearson style of driver, but in all these years being around the 2 of them, I'd say he's a David Pearson kind of thinker. He definitely thinks big picture, thinks outside the box, figures the way to get it done.
I kind of like that, but I kind of don't like that.
Okay.
Because sometimes it's like a golf shot. You stand over a 3-foot putt, the longer you stand over it, the longer it gets. The harder it is to make.
We've all done that.
You know what I'm saying? I mean,
yes.
Sometimes I think you can just overthink situations
Okay.
and think yourself right out of maybe a win, and you get to second guessing yourself.
All right, well, quit thinking and take us for a ride with Casey Kane.
Whoa, come on, Casey. Here we go, down the front straightaway. Watch him bail this thing off right down on that white line, and it drifts up, and you catch it right here with the throttle. Little throttle, little throttle. Try to get it turned down off the corner, clip the apron a little bit right there, and if it scares you that bad, you bring it on in.
Coming to you guys.
And as he does, back to the garage and Matt.
And Darlington, Mike, is one of 3 racetracks. Tony Stewart has never scored a Sprint Cup Series victory. Right now in practice, he's reporting to Darian Grubb. They are making headway, especially on the stopwatch. Lap times are getting better, especially after the last adjustment that they made on the race car, which, by the way, this was the car he took to victory lane last May at Charlotte for the All-Star victory. And also on their minds and in their hearts, longtime NASCAR official. They've got a Get Well Sacco sticker on the shoulder rest. He's the gentleman that works in the the template area here at the racetrack. The big claw that comes down that you see, he had some surgery. He's been on the mend for about the past 4 or 5 weeks. Everyone here in the garage area definitely misses him. And the 88 team, they're going to roll their car over to where John Sacco normally works because they want to take that car through the NASCAR template to prove that they indeed have some major issues, and then they can go to the backup car. So that's where we are currently following the 88 car of Dale Earnhardt Jr.
And I guarantee you they want to show them at that, when that car hit the wall, to push the rear of the car over. That the back of the car, I guarantee you, is the spoilers hit the wall, and they want to show them that the back of that car is damaged more than it appears. And then they're going to put the claw on it to prove that the claw won't fit it.
Yeah, because NASCAR, regardless, when you go ready through for qualifying, you go ready for the race, they're going to make everything fit. It doesn't matter if you've smacked the wall or not.
That's right.
Mark Martin now 10th. Okay, let's take a ride with Martin Truex.
Let's try this again.
Yeah.
Come down the front straightaway, as we say. Start-finish line. You get right here is a tough place on the racetrack. You got to be almost single file to get in here. If you try to race somebody through that corner, usually ends up in trouble. Got a double hitch here. You kind of turn the car twice. Right in the middle of the corner, you turn it. Then to get off turn 2 and down this back straightaway, you got to turn it again. Right here, getting into 3, you go all the way up to the wall. And then hopefully you can keep it off the wall on turn exit here off turn 4. Pretty quick lap around here, about 29 seconds, and you're done.
Let's get out of the garage of the fastest man in Darlington. Here's Krista.
Yeah, Mike, want to give you an update on Denny Hamlin. What is he saying about his race car on that last run? As he came in, he told crew chief Mike Ford, I need to be tighter on the exit of the turns. And Mike asked him, what about neutral? Are you still neutral rolling? And he said, yes, that is affirmative. I just need the exit to be a little bit tighter.
Now, Denny has been blogging about his knee, and he says, in his opinion, his recovery is no more than about 15%, and he is not yet ready, according to the doctors, to do cardio training, and it's tearing him up that he can't do the kind of training he's used to doing.
But Mike, he must be feeling pretty good about it, because I go back to Richmond, you know, on Thursday night, he ran that 250 late model race up there at Southside Speedway for the Denny Hamlin Foundation. And actually here this weekend, he's doing double duty. He's running the Nationwide Series race tonight.
Wow. That's not cardio, but it is effective.
It's about like cardio, though. It'll
All
take
right.
your breath.
Joey Logano back on track after a brush with the wall earlier. Tonight, NASCAR drives into Darlington, where everybody's revved up as Richard Childress and Michael Waltrip. 2 car owners at trackside. Friday night, 11 Eastern, only on Speed.
Mikey, car owner, TV personality, he's going overseas.
Foreign
to race.
correspondent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He does it all. All right, I want to show you, it's something I'm noticing, and I think I'm right on this. Normally, when you run Darlington, if you look back over toward turn 3 over there, see how much gray area there is at the top of the track getting in? Looks like these guys are entering turn 3 way over here, just a little bit lower than normal, and they're getting up next to the wall right here a lot later than normal. Normally, here at Darlington, you'd catch the center of the wall. You'd be high right there in the middle of the turn. What that's doing is, as they exit turn 4 over here, they're out high. See how much later you're getting into the see how much later you're getting, how much higher you are on late exit of the corner. I think that's where these guys are getting a little bit of trouble off turn 4. The exit is much higher than normal.
And you know, you mentioned the Nationwide Series. I could maybe see a Nationwide Series car trying to do that, because it's about 200 less horsepower trying to keep it wound up. But it's kind of, I'm like you, I'm a little surprised with the Cup cars being up there.
I think it must be a grip issue, Larry. Like they're getting off at 2 and running into 3 lower, giving themselves more room to slow down. Got a heck of a debate going on here about this car.
What we're watching is Lance McGrew trying to plead his case to the NASCAR officials, and they have just now approved them to go to a backup car.
Well, the good news is we still have plenty of practice time. We still have almost an hour in this practice, a 30-minute break, and then another hour and a half. We've got the schedule like we had last week at Richmond, where all the practice is before qualifying.
Larry, and there's no question, if I'm coming to Darlington, even back when I raced here in the 90s, when I come to Darlington, I made sure that my backup was equal to I made sure my B car was as good as my A car, because it just almost inevitably you're going to need it.
Come on, we're tickled.
Clint Boyer is 5th on the board with one of the most interesting paint schemes at the track. This one for the Hartford Insurance Group, known as a staid old maroon and white company from Hartford, Connecticut. The big stag on the hood.
And on his helmet, too, looked like.
Yeah.
Crazy helmet.
Don't tell Hammond about that, dear.
Ooh. Look at his helmet.
How about that?
Yeah, it's got antlers, I think. That's pretty cool.
It's pretty amazing, Darrell, when you think back to the helmets you used to wear, where you just would put a small decal of your sponsor, and some of the creative paint schemes that these guys have on helmets today.
Oh, listen, helmets, you take a great deal of pride in your helmet. And, you know, if you think of any other series, particularly open wheel, you are known, you are recognized by your helmet.
Ever since the Formula One days, open cockpit days, and
yeah,
sure.
And these drivers have taken it now with in-car cameras and everything else. They've taken it to that level as well.
Sam Hornish on track right now in the Mobile 177. He's 13th. I remember when a very young Troy Lee came around the track at Riverside, California with his sketchbook and his airbrush artistry, and he had a hard time in getting NASCAR drivers interested in helmet designs. It's just a helmet, you know, you don't see it. But boy, it caught on big.
You remember, what was it, 2 weeks ago when Dale Jr., they asked him about tires. He said, tires don't mean nothing to me. If a guy came up to you back in the 90s or so, or late 80s, and he said, want to paint your helmet, helmets don't mean nothing to me. You know, it's just.
No, not to stock car racers.
Not to a stock car racer, because you can't see it anyway.
Times change, and it's an extension of the sponsors or the driver's personality, sometimes both.
Yeah, plus people auction them off now. You know, you got one-of-a-kind helmets that you'll race on this weekend and sell it to, you know, your sponsor will auction it off, or your charity or foundation. So
great.
Helmets are a big business.
Here's Brian Vickers, who's 15th. Krista.
Jeff Gordon is still needing some help in his race car. He told Steve Letarte it did not improve in the middle. That was where he was wanting some help. He said especially 3 and 4. A little bit tight in 1 and 2, but the bigger issue is 3 and 4.
Right now, Jeff Gordon is 10th quickest. He has 29 starts here. Aside from those 7 wins, here was a number blew my mind, Mike. He's led a lap in 24 of those 29 races, a total of over 1,600 laps led here.
Wow. Denny Hamlin quickest, his teammate Kyle Busch now 2nd. How did the son of NASCAR's first superstar become the sport's all-time winner and a legend? Don't miss NASCAR Hall of Fame biography, Richard Petty, tomorrow, 2:30 p.m. Eastern, only on Speed. Brad Keselowski, 27th on the board right now in the Mopar Dodge.
You know, he made a start here a year ago driving a 5th Hendrick car and was very impressive. You know, he ran all night long, and when it was all said and done, sat there and finished in the 7th spot. Brad Keselowski did.
You know, I got to tell you, this is a track where what you don't know, you don't know. And sometimes the more you know about this joint, the more you dislike it.
46 teams entered. These 3 have not practiced. We have inside information that McDowell and Blaney will be on track at 12:45. About 45 minutes from now. That's with 15 to go in this practice session. Krista?
Mike, I love the dialogue between Jimmy Johnson and Chad Knaus before he brought his car in. Jimmy, the eternal optimist, said the car was better this run. Chad Knaus, the realist, said the car's not bad, but it needs to be better. It's about a 10th off the time Chad is looking for. While they're in here, Jimmy did want someone to look at his tack as well. He was having a little bit of trouble with that.
And see, that's a veteran crew chief that looks at that lap time. He says, when I tape this thing up, put tires on it, he knows about what he can get out of that car based on what it's running right now, and he knows that's not quite enough.
It's a brand new race car. The 48 team unloaded here this morning, seeing its first laps of the day. Right now he's 12th quickest. He's run a total of 18 laps. David Reagan in that 6 car we just saw a second ago, he's run the most laps of anyone at 25.
Paul Menard is 19th right now in the turtle wax for it.
I've been here, Larry, when you wouldn't run 25 laps of practice if you were here for a week.
Total.
Because you couldn't get the driver to go out.
And you were here for a week.
Yeah, used to be. Yeah, I used to get here on Tuesday. Had to take
Go ahead.
Had to take a rookie test. Then you
Couldn't
had
even qualify the first day.
No, you couldn't qualify the first day. And of course, you had the Southern 500 parade. You had to go to that. Southern 500 golf tournament. A lot of festivities.
There was no racing in Darlington County on Sundays.
Yeah.
So they had a huge parade. Crowd missed Southern 500. They had Civil War reenactors. And the race was run on Labor Day.
Yeah. Some of the roughest races I ever had here. Boy, that Sunday off was hard on the driver.
I'm not sure if it was Sunday or the Saturday night.
I don't know if that's a good idea or not.
Scott Speed, 31st quick right now.
You know, we saw Brian Vickers just a while ago, the 83 car, the teammate to Scott Speed, and this is an operation that just they're searching still. When you look at these two guys, they're sitting right now. Brian Vickers is 24th in the points. Scott Speed is 25th. And the biggest telltale sign to me that they're searching is Brian Vickers is qualifying. No matter where we are, Brian Vickers qualifies good, and they've even been struggling with that this year.
Well, we've seen it. It's sort of cyclical. If you look at the Roush teams last year and the Childress teams last year, they got off. And it took them all year long to get back on. And, man, you go in the wrong direction with these cars, the development of them, and you can get in big trouble in a hurry.
New driver for the 46 this week, Terry Cook, who was driver and team manager, has left that unsponsored Dodge team, and veteran open wheeler and former Cup driver J.J. Yaley from Phoenix is behind the wheel.
Yeah, we've got the same 46 cars here this weekend that we had at Richmond last week. A couple of driver changes, as you mentioned, J.J. Yaley in the 46, and Todd Bodine is in the 64 car that Tony Raines was in last week at Richmond.
And there you see that Juan Montoya did just catch the wall in turn 4, Matt.
Mike, he got out of his race car. He walked next door to his neighbor, Joey Logano, and they started laughing because he mentioned and pointed, yes, I got into the fence as well. Not as bad as what Joey did. They feel like this can kind of be buffed out, but he says the car is just coming off turn 2 so well that he's really, and his approach to turn 3 has so much speed, and that's one of the big positives they talked about. Also a little bit of predictable on that entry, but then it gets a little unpredictable on exit. A little edgy, he says, but he says, keeping in mind the last year, and I'm sure you guys will talk about it as the day wears on, going back to last year's race, the one thing that stood out, the track just got extremely tight. So they're trying to find that balance of being loose, but not too loose.
And you can see right here on this very end that scrape caught the edge of that spoiler, and that was just a scrape. So you can imagine what Dale Jr.'s car looked like from banging into the wall.
And the way that thing is bolted to the deck lid, everything's going to move with it for the most part, because that is a thick, heavy rear spoiler.
Oh yeah, well, you see all the bracing and all the bolts, and that thing is strong as an ox, and when it goes, the whole back end goes.
How strong is an ox?
It'll pull a cart.
Oh, good grief. Denny Hamlin, Kyle, Kurt Busch, Jeff Burton, the Fast Four. Sprint brings you an inside look at what's happening now inside the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. Denny Hamlin has the fastest lap of the day so far. For more NASCAR stats, in-car audio, and live race radio, NASCAR Sprint Cup Mobile is at sprint.com/speed. Tony Glover there on the right, talking over the rear spoiler damage to Montoya's car.
I guarantee you before the weekend's over, maybe not this weekend, but before this weekend's over, there'll be some sort of a concession made, maybe to narrow that end of that spoiler up just a skosh. What do you think, Larry? Or move it over a little bit, or I'm just guessing.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be hard-pressed being over there lobbying to cut the rear spoiler.
I know, that's the problem.
It's like between a rock and a hard place just a little bit. Here's our points leader, Kevin Harvick, in the 29 car right now. Kevin is 7th quickest. And, you know, you talk about a difference a year has made. At this point a year ago, Kevin had 2 top 10 finishes and was 23rd in the points. Now he's the points leader with 4 top 5s and 7 top 10s. There's the tale of 2 tapes right there.
Quite a difference, especially in laps led with this few races in the book.
what a difference career makes.
Yep.
And Paul Menard and Scott Speed, a lot of that has to do with how they ran really the first 4 or 5 races of this year. They've kind of fallen off here as we've got into the last 4 or 5 weeks.
Logano 27th on the speed chart, lapping right now about a 10th slower than his quickest lap, which was not the one where he got into the wall.
Yeah, you know, I like what Zippy's doing. When you get through tearing it up, we'll fix it. So going back out there and running some more laps.
But Darrell, this is Joey's 50th career start, and I think still you almost have to find it hard to believe he's still not even 20 years old yet. Still 19 years old.
Has the composure of a much older man.
And isn't it only his second trip to Darlington in a Cup car?
Yeah, he finished what? He finished
led 19 laps and finished 9th here last year. Actually
yeah,
qualified 5th.
Top 10, yeah. I'd say that Zippy is, you could take a little bit of credit for some of that, because that obviously is got to have the right setup to be able to go out there and do that kind of job. But Larry, again, you see that car coming down the straightaway. She's yawed out there a little bit in the back. I'm surprised at that at this racetrack because of how close you run to the wall.
But it obviously increases the side force significantly, and you know, you're looking for side force and down force at this place.
Well, which means, as we look at Greg Biffle, who's 8th right now, if they trimmed up that spoiler on the right side, on the right edge, they'd have to yaw these cars out even more to get that blade out there in the wind.
You know what it is? It's rules of unintended consequences. I've lived in that.
Yes, it is.
But you know, Mike, the big reason that they yaw them is more so to get that flat right side out there. That's what really increases the side force. That's almost like a flat piece of plywood, and that really helps these cars.
You can't appreciate. I know I didn't realize until recently just how big this car is. When you stand beside this race car and you look at it compared to a nationwide body, let's say a car, this car is really a lot bigger. The sides, I guarantee you, Larry, it looks like the side of this car is a foot taller than the old car was. It's really big down the right side, and it's really flat, which is like an airfoil.
Tomorrow, live from the speed stage at the base of that pylon, NASCAR Race Day. Kyle Busch and J.D. Gibbs live, and a stroll down memory lane reliving the closest finish in NASCAR history. NASCAR Race Day, built by the Home Depot, live tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern, only on Speed.
You know what, Mike, Larry, I don't know how many more years we'll do this. A lot, I hope. But we have already, in our 10-year time up here in the booth, we have seen some incredible things. I mean, that finish just reminded me of it. That in and of itself, the closest finish ever. And that race that afternoon, that was amazing.
Two cars ended up wrecked in turn 1, and the 2 drivers both go to victory lane to hug each other.
That's right.
I feel like we've seen a career worth of finishes just in 2010 so far.
This has been really great.
Krista.
Taking a look at Kyle Busch inside his race car, and I think I have to pose a question to our crew chief. Larry Mack, I've got one for you. Kyle brought his car in and told crew chief Dave Rogers, he explained his car is just way too weird. How do you fix weird?
Well, I've never been able to fix terrible. I've never been able to fix weird. I've never been able to fix I can't do anything with it. That makes it tough. You know, there's something that's giving him a feeling that he just doesn't like, and he's having a tough time putting his arms around what it is.
There's a man down there somewhere named Mr. Who. That's who I'd go look for.
Dr. Who.
Has anybody seen Dr. Who?
And he tends to hang pretty close to the Gibbs camp.
Yeah, he does.
That's Ronnie Crooks, their shock specialist. Carl Edwards led his first lap of the season last week. And that just doesn't seem very Carl Edwards-like.
But we talked about the great finish we had. What a strange thing we had happen fairly early in that race. You know, Kyle Busch had put all but about 9 cars a lap down. We had a cycle of green flag pit stops about 10 laps later.
Right.
We had a caution. All the leaders came to pit road. We had 23 cars, including Carl Edwards, do the wave around. That honestly was a little bit of a game changer for a lot of people in that race at that point.
Yeah, I'm still head scratching to see how he ended up 5th, because he was way back at one point. Matt?
Mike, Casey Kane, the 9 car, currently 9th on the board. One of the racetracks that Casey always seems to perform so well at. He's got a Truck Series win here, and he's got 3 Darlington Sprint Cup poles, the most of any racetrack on the schedule for Casey. The car, he says, pretty decent. He wanted to primarily work on the last change they made on the left front of the race car because he just felt like it wasn't down in the racetrack. And if you look at the right side of the car, it is totally clean. He said, I just want to pace myself and work my way through this practice session and not make any early issues body-wise early on.
You know, honestly, guys, I know we're just about halfway through this first practice, but all 4 of the Richard Petty Motorsports cars right now, as we like to put it, they're on the left side of our scoring monitor, and that's not something we've seen a lot this year. All 4 of them are over there.
Our monitor has 25 positions on the left side and everybody else on the right side. So you want to be on the left side of the board. Absolutely.
And I'm not sure. I think I read that maybe Allmendinger there in the 43 car is running the FR9 engine this weekend. I think.
I don't know.
And I'm not sure if any other guys are or not, but I think they were going to put a couple of them out there this weekend.
Well, I'd be willing to bet Matt or Krista can find out for us.
Well, whatever it is, it's fast because AJ is 10th.
28.75.
Whoa, that's a nice lap.
He and Casey Kane almost identical lap times. So
20. Look, I've been coming here for over 30 years, and if somebody said 28 something on the radio, I'd have said, where'd he cut through the infield or something?
I mean, I can remember when a good qualifying run was in the 31s or 32s here.
I came here, I think it was 36 the first time I came, and then it got down to 34 and then 32, and all of a sudden 29 something.
It's been confirmed that AJ Allmendinger is running the FR9 engine here at Darlington. We talked about the schedule here, and last week we didn't mean to confuse you. Richmond was not an impound race, but Richmond and Darlington, both Saturday night races, are running the impound style schedule where both practice sessions are before qualifying and there is no final practice after qualifying.
It's the easiest way to make a 2-day show work when the race is on Saturday because we don't have any on-track activity with the Cup cars the day of the race.
The reason it's not an impound race is that after qualifying, the cars are returned to the teams so they can set them up for the race tomorrow night.
Yeah, that's the best way to do it. I like that a lot because if you want to change the setup or if you want to put the car in qualifying trim, it's really fair for everybody when you have that kind of a procedure.
Yeah, it's a very efficient schedule for the teams especially, and it allows NASCAR to get everything in today, including tonight's Nationwide Series race.
And it's a lot less sleepless nights too, because instead of calling the crew chief and saying any way you can slip that spring rubber out of there while you're going through inspection, it makes it a lot better that you can do that legally.
Yeah, really, you only end up with one sleepless night, and that's Friday night.
Right. No change in the top 5 with Clint Boyer 6th, Harvick 7th, Biffle, Kane, and AJ the top 10. Monday, head into the garage for NASCAR Race Hub as we talk with drivers, owners, and crew chiefs about the past, present, and future of racing. You just never know who's going to stop by. NASCAR Race Hub, Monday, 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific, only on Speed. Jeff Burton back out. He's made 4 runs in a total of 17 laps. His 6th lap was his quickest, and he is 4th fastest in the Caterpillar Chevy.
Jeff has a couple of wins here, and Jeff normally was the guy to watch, especially if rain was in the vicinity.
There's a great Mike Smith cartoon in one of his stock cartoons books, and it's Mother Nature sitting in her rocking chair knitting, and there's Jeff Burton posters all over her wall, because you're right, Larry, it seemed for a while like every time the rains came, there was Burton in front, and wasn't it here that Frankie Stoddard left him out there on the track with a flat tire?
No,
the car was tore all to pieces.
Yeah.
A wrecked race car.
Wrecked, flat tire. I mean, it was a mess. Don't pit. Well, got to pit. Got to fix it. No, don't pit. And it rained, and he won.
And he won the race.
I think it took a record to get him to victory circle.
Yeah, I mean, they'd have had to go in the garage for a number of laps and repaired that car had they have restarted the race.
Regan Smith in the 78, 20th fastest. Well, you know what Richard Petty always said? I'd rather be lucky than good any day.
And you know
of course,
what?
to win, you've got to be both.
That race doesn't mean anything to Jeff Burton. It's the ones that he could have, should have won that you never forget about. You think about those long after you think about the ones you won.
Yeah, one in
Very
particular
true.
was a battle he had with Jeff Gordon
Yeah,
here
I mean,
one year.
he had him passed.
Yeah.
And it was for $1 million. And he was all the way up beside of Jeff going into turn one, and he backed out and let Jeff go because he didn't think they could make it without wrecking.
There's the good side of Travis Quapple's A&W root beer float. The other side, not so good. It's been in the wall, but he's been able to continue and not have to go to a backup. Here's Denny Hamlin, who's fastest.
Denny made his very first career Nationwide Series start here a number of years ago and got a top 10 finish right out of the box.
And here's Dale Jr., who is in a backup car.
And again, the ruling on the backup car with this type of a schedule is, they're gonna qualify later on the day, so he will be able to start where he qualifies.
Well, one thing I know, Hamlin is the fastest car atop the chart, and I can tell you why. I heard him when he was coming off turn 2 there. He never played with it. He matted that thing in the middle of the corner, and he was able to run wide open off of 2. That's when you know your car's really working.
But Junior's car, I don't know, Darrell, is he being tentative with this car? Well, yeah, he is. He only has 3 laps on it. It's his first run with it.
Little shakedown run here just to be sure everything's good to go.
Here's what happened very early in this session. Look just ahead of Martin Truex's car.
It's that slap right there. The back comes out just a little wee bit, and when he catches it, then it slaps the front and slaps the rear. Does a lot of damage.
Darrell, looking at that replay one more time, I can't believe there was much of the debate on the team's part about going to the backup car.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure it wasn't, Larry. You saw him immediately try to roll this car out, and NASCAR woke him up. They wanted to put the claw on it to see how much body damage they had as much as anything.
Here's the count on Larry's chart as we look at Jimmy Johnson walking across the garage area in 90-degree heat. 4 cars with what we call the Darlington stripe or more.
And honestly, for being almost an hour into this practice, based on what we saw a year ago and what we saw even in Nationwide Series practice, I think that's actually a low number.
Wait till they tape them up and make qualifying runs, and you try to go faster. This is as fast as I can go without hitting anything.
Try to go faster with the same grip level.
Maybe not such a good idea.
New colors for I'm sorry, I can't bear myself to call him Big Mac. No. Jamie McMurray. That's what's up on the roof is Big Mac. In the McDonald's #1, and he's not the only driver. We heard Elliott Sadler earlier talking about chattering.
And we've heard that a lot this year. We heard it at Richmond. We heard it at Phoenix. And it's basically you go in the corner and you turn the steering wheel, and the front wheels almost will start chattering. They're just not. They're almost skipping across the racetrack.
David Rudiman, 26th fastest. Aaron's Toyota. And it must be 12, well, not quite 12:45, but Michael McDowell is out. Guess we got some bad information from the car owner. He's 30th right now.
I think after both those cars missed a race last weekend, they might be on a little bit different program this weekend. Blaney and McDowell both missed a race last week.
Boy, McDowell just jumped up to 15th quickest. He's by far the fastest go or go homer.
Practice?
They'll go in there and put blowers on the wheels like Philippe did last week.
They were just waiting for the conditions to get
to
right.
be just right.
Yeah.
Evidently, they are. Saturday night, May 22nd, the stars come out, the gloves come off. It's the NASCAR Sprint All-Star Race on Speed with $1 million on the line. Don't miss it, Saturday night, May 22nd, only on Speed. Red flag is out, and here's why. Clint Boyer has taken the Hartford Insurance number 33 up and into the wall, turn 2.
And if you get up very high here, you get in that gray area, that's nothing but dirt. And the reason we say that you get loose up there is because there's no grip up there.
And you can see how gray it is compared to the actual black groove that's there in the lower part of the racetrack. That was a pretty hard lick on
Pretty
that
solid
33
lick,
car.
yes, sir.
It's right along.
Listen, listen.
So Clint Boyer in the garage pondering the damage to the 33. Let's check with Krista.
Denny Hamlin out of his race car. Denny, I have to know, I'm sweating like crazy. You have the bad knee, you're doing double duty, and you're fastest. What's your secret?
I'm not too sure. Good race cars, that's for sure. But our FedEx camera's been pretty good all right off the truck. So we're just fine-tuning it. Usually at this point of the day, we're swinging at the fence. So you're definitely pretty pleased with where we're at right now.
Thanks, Denny.
Thank you.
His last lap out was a 28.85, and he's run a total of 32 laps, so he's actually run quite a number of laps.
There's that nick in the spoiler like we saw in Montoya's car, and the damage to the right rear. But it was when that right rear tossed the nose of the car into the wall with the right front is where the major damage appears to be.
Yeah, I don't think there was any question that they were going to be going to a backup, because that seemed just as hard a lick, if not harder, than the lick that the 88 car Earnhardt Jr. had a little earlier. So it'll be hard push to get this car out there in this practice session, but we'll have another hour and a half after a 30-minute break.
Yeah, when Dale Jr. crashed, that was 11:33 a.m. It took almost 50 minutes to get that other car approved and then on track.
And you might look at that car and say, well, why don't they just fix it? Doesn't look that bad. Why do you want to handicap yourself? If you got to back up, let's get it out, and let's don't take any chances with something that we can't see being wrong with the car.
NASCAR has approved the 33 team to go to the backup car.
Been watching Max Pappas. Max has run a total of 23 laps in his 13 car, really searching this racetrack. This is such a tough racetrack and a challenging racetrack. Right now, he's the slowest of the Gore Go Home cars. He'll be one of the cars that will have to qualify on time.
Bobby Labonte, the TaxSlayer.com Chevrolet. And right now he's 30th.
Bobby's got a birthday tomorrow on race day, and he has a pole and a win back in the day when he was driving the number 18 car for Joe Gibbs Racing.
A little too tight, late exit.
Let's take a ride with our point leader, Kevin Harvick.
There he goes, off into turn 3. Right up next to the wall. Got to clear this car that he's coming up on here. Carl's going to pull down, and this is what you do. That's how you race here. You let guys by on the straightaway. You don't race them off into the corner because there's just not enough room. That's that anticipation thing. Playing with the throttle, hard to get it wide open all the way through that corner. If you can, you got a great car. Denny Hamlin seems to have that figured out. Drive this thing off down right on the bottom. Let it go all the way up to the center of the corner right there, and then sort of halfway diamond the corner a little bit with late exit.
Harvick is 7th fastest.
We talked about the Prism Motorsports cars waiting to go out and practice. Michael McDowell had jumped up to 15th, but his teammate Dave Blaney in the 66 car, like Darrell mentioned, both those cars missed the race at Richmond. Blaney jumps up to 6th quickest in the 66 car.
Down to the garage and Matt.
And catching up with Martin Truex Jr., 16th on the board. Your car's up on scale, so give a brief description of what you've been fighting so far in practice.
Well, I've been pretty happy with the car. Seems to hang on good lap time wise. It's just a little bit too snug right now. I need to turn a little better. So we'll see what happens, but we'll keep working on it. The guys are doing a good job, and I think we're in the ballpark.
On the fun factor, is this a fun place for you to come race, or is it just more of a big challenge?
I love it. One of my favorite tracks, so I wish it was a little cooler, but I love Darlington.
And Mike Larry, just to follow up on the 66 that's sitting there in 6th place, that's a great lap right now. That's encouraging. But remember, he's qualifying.
Yeah.
These other cats haven't gone to their qualifying package yet, so that's what he's got to be aware of. Is what's happening when these other guys pick up when they do their qualifying run.
Well, Darrell, you and I were talking. We had a very similar schedule here a year ago, and in the first practice a year ago, Brian Vickers was the fastest at a 28.23. Then when things got pretty serious, practice qualifying runs in the final practice later on in the afternoon, Jeff Gordon was the fastest at a 27.68. We actually had 16 cars in the 27-second bracket in the second practice.
I've seen cars pick up a second here qualifying. Pretty common.
To your point, Darrell, here are the best 5 consecutive lap averages. Kyle Busch and Denny Hamlin, teammates, top the chart. Fan-friendly all-star week of events. NASCAR revved up, and they include a free concert in Uptown Charlotte featuring Switchfoot and Parachute. Thursday, May 20th, 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Go to speed.com/allstar for more information.
Wouldn't you like to know where these groups get their names from? Who thinks up the names of some of these groups?
Like Lady Annabelle.
Yeah,
we know that story,
yeah.
but it's an interesting process, isn't it? It's not like Kentucky Derby thoroughbreds. You know, a horse racing name can never be reused, and you're only allowed so many letters. Music groups don't have that restriction. I guess that's a good thing.
There are some interesting names out there, to say the least. It is not necessarily rock and roll. It's rock and roll. It's country musicians. They're unique names.
Go ahead, you can hustle around and try a pit in.
Ooh. Come on. This is going to be see how hot you can get this thing on pit road without getting down. Pit road here is tricky, and the reason is it's dirty. It's always got a lot of sand down on that entrance to pit road, and I've seen guys hit those water barrels trying to get in a little too fast.
Yes.
Seen practice in here, gets down by the yellow line.
Yeah, we've seen them hit the water barrels. We've seen them miss pit road.
Yeah, those big yellow barrels on the end of that pit wall. If you do hit them, you're glad they're there, I can tell you that.
Well, honestly, when you look at it, Darrell, I think the commit line is almost all the way over there right in the middle of turn 3 and 4.
Yeah, it's a tough pit road because it's always so dirty.
All kinds of checking going on that 48 car. You got the guy checking the tire temperatures, one guy checking air pressure, and one guy checking brake temperature. There's the commit line right there, and that's smack dab in the middle of 3 and 4.
There's a 3-2-1. There's 3-2-1, and then there's the cone.
Okay.
Just to the left of the Sunoco sign.
Okay,
so
there's the commit cone.
That's the plan to commit.
That's the warning line.
There you go.
Warning lines. Yes. So yeah, the actual commit cone is a little further around, but trust me, it creeps up on you in a hurry. Reed Sorensen's got some work to do in his 32 car. Right now, he's right there in the 3 slowest of our go or go home cars. Reed is 42nd quickest. All 46 of our cars have practice now.
It's a little tighter as we go.
Now we start 43 cars tomorrow night in the Southern 500. That name has been revived and applied to the 500-mile races that we've run. So this will be the 61st Southern 500. We'll start 43 cars. Could you imagine if they doubled that?
Yeah.
In 1951, the Southern 500 started 82 cars. Oh my goodness.
Well, you know, I think it was 1950. They started 75.
Right.
And guess who won?
Johnny Mance.
And guess where he started? Last.
Did he start last?
I think he started last. Yep.
Well, he started 43rd in a field of 75, according to Russell.
I might have got bad information then.
But the reason he won, Darrell, it was a stock 1950 Plymouth. In fact, Bill France co-owned the car. And the reason he won was they had 6-ply truck tires on the car. Everybody else was running passenger car tires, which kept wearing out and blowing out. The truck tires held up. Mance did not have anywhere near the fastest car, but he had to make less pit stops.
A lot of guys were going out in the parking lot and getting tires off of street cars because they run out of tires. They didn't have any tires.
Wow.
But I was almost certain that he started last, but I guess I'll have to check my data on that.
Mance, the first of 5 drivers to get their first career Cup victory here at Darlington.
See Lake's speed there. That was actually Lake's only career win in the Sprint Cup Series. I mean, we've had 106 races here and 43 different winners out of those 106 races.
Yep, that was Lake's own car. No, or was that Harry Hilly's car?
That was his own car.
That
That was his own car.
So.
83 car.
Krista?
Over an hour into this practice session, I don't know if you guys are noticing any changes on the track, but Jeff Gordon certainly is. He had told Steve Letarte, I don't know if the track is changing, but I know we have lost all of our speed in turns 1 and 2.
We've got about 15, 16 minutes left in this practice session.
I'm still shaking my head over the idea of 82 cars on this track, all running as fast as they can.
And I don't think there were very many that was running the banking. Most of them was running the apron.
Mance was the slowest qualifier. Details to follow.
Thank you.
When that came by, I thought Dale Jr. had gone back to the primary car, but no, that is his backup. And 30th quickest. He's gotten into the wall with the right side of the backup car.
It's the very same place down there in turns 3 and 4. You'll see him right here he comes right here, and you can see right there the car is stepping out, and not anything like the first car that he got in the wall with, but some damage, Matt.
DW, they're looking over that damage, and they're going to take the hammer and round out around the wheel well opening around the tire. And before that last run, Dale Jr. said that when he got into the corner, he just didn't know which way the race car was going to go. It just was so unpredictable. They made a number of changes in the front of the race car. He said, yes, I got into the fence. The car's a little more yawed out. I'm putting a lot more wheel into it, meaning the car's a lot more loose. But also, he said the car does feel better, like we are making progress.
Well, now the good thing about this hit, from what we saw, was that this was a flush hit. This was not hit it with the back and that sends the front into the wall. It was a light flush hit with the side, so hopefully no suspension damage.
And you know, we started seeing that from the very first time we brought this new car here 2 or 3 years ago. A lot has to do with that foam in the right side door. It doesn't cave the sheet metal in quite as bad when you go up there and just kind of skim the wall.
You know, Larry, that's the thing about this car. The things that we used to have to fix ourselves, NASCAR has basically fixed them for you. And that foam in the right side of the car is something that we used to come here with, and we've talked about every time we come here. We'd put 2x4s in the door over there to keep the sheet metal from caving in against the tires. We'd each build special bars inside the rear quarter panels to keep the quarter panels from crushing in against the tires. Put a great big bar in the right front to keep the right front fender from getting in against the tires, because you know you're going to hit the wall, and you just don't want it to do so much damage that it puts you out of the race.
But you're right, NASCAR has fixed a lot of those things for these race cars.
You watch Jimmy Johnson through the corner, and the contrasting color of that splitter helps you see just how all but glued down to the track the front of that car is.
You look at the deck lid there. We've got 5 race cars here, including this 48 car. On the 48 car is a decal commemorating the induction of Bill France Sr. into the NASCAR Hall of Fame on May 23rd. We've got 5 cars, Jimmy Johnson, Jamie McMurray, a couple of them that are carrying those decals on the deck lid.
There you go. That's the Denny Hamlin here. I tell you, this car, it's pretty amazing. When you see how little he's having to turn the wheels and listen to the throttle. Had to squeeze out a little bit right there, but he's not having to fight with this car. Unlike where Dale Jr. said his car won't do what he wants it to, this car is doing everything a driver wanted to. Right up into the corner, it's nice and comfortable, not having to really crank that wheel around very much. Back in the throttle, it's no wonder he's at the top of the chart. This car is working.
And you know, Darrell, what I like about this 11 car, I'm sure Mike Ford, the crew chief, they've probably thrown 2 or 3 sets of tires, but he's run a total of 40 laps. His fast lap is a 28.49. That lap right there is a 28.92. He still can run in the 28s. I'm sure this is probably the 2nd or 3rd set of tires they've been through.
Yeah, really where his car is awesome is in turns 1 and 2. He gets in there and he is back in the throttle immediately, and that's how you make great time on that end of the speedway. Listen to him. He jumps back in it. Right there, he's back in it. Got a lot of speed across there. Has to play with it a little bit, but still back wide open, really hard up off of turn 2. That's how you make a great lap around here.
They're going back to turn 1 and 2. I heard one driver say this is the only track we go to where you pick up the throttle and you're still turning down into the corner.
So, Darrell, here's the answer to your question. In the first Southern 500, Johnny Mance was the slowest qualifier, but he did start 43rd and won.
EIRI.
Speed's coverage of Sprint Cup practice from Darlington brought to you by Honda Generators. Honda, the power of choice.
Hey, Mike, you know, I said that 11 car. It looks like we got the 82 car here, Larry. You put him on your list.
Yep,
Scott Speed. I was saying that Hamlin looked like he was driving one of those computer cars. Well, you guess where he was yesterday? Looked like he was driving a simulator. Well, you see here Scott Speed coming off turn 4 there.
That was actually, that last little lick was a pretty hard lick on his part.
Yeah,
well, you can see
sort of juts out there.
Sorry, I'm just saying, look at Hamlin. It's almost like he's driving on his simulator. And where was he yesterday?
At the Hall of Fame.
Driving
the iRacing simulator of Darlington.
And he was the fastest.
And he was the
Phil
fastest.
Parsons said he was fastest.
So I think it's carried over to today.
Have you tried iRacing?
No, but I've heard it's awesome.
Well, put down Twitter, and I'll get you in touch with Steve Potter and the folks up there, because iRacing is as close to real racing. It's only missing 2 things to be completely real. One is the sensation of the G-forces, and the other is just throwing money out the window like you would if you were racing a real car.
Wow, I got to get me one of those.
But something tells me you can't get near as much trouble with iRacing as you do Twitter.
I have gotten a bit of trouble with that. I just thought I was talking to some guy, you know.
A guy named Twitter.
Krista.
No.
I'm enjoying this conversation from you guys right now. Want to give you an update on Jeff Burton. Actually, kind of documentation of what he's been dealing with this entire practice session. At the start, he said his car was good everywhere, but just needed to turn better. Then he told Todd Berrier he needed the front end to work better. And last run when he came in, he said, guys, I know you made some changes. I like the way it felt before. So they went back to the front springs they had on that previous run.
Krista, you're going to love this.
Okay.
On Twitter, I was getting really upset because there was some guy named RT that kept tweeting everything I would write, and I couldn't figure out who in the heck is RT anyway. I got to meet this guy. Well, on Twitter, that's retweet. But I was really getting angry because I said, man, there's some guy named RT, and he's wearing me out.
Pete and repeat. AJ holding 10th, no change in the top 10. The one change was Dave Blaney moving up in the top 10 on the one lap that he ran.
You know, AJ's very first trip here a couple of years ago, he got a lap down early, but once he went a lap down, he sat there and ran with the leaders almost the entire race. It's like he picked up on this place pretty quick, and he's by far the fastest forward.
When you think about him and how he likes to race and what the kind of driver he is, he fits Darlington. He really does. This is the kind of track where you got to go after it, and he likes to do that, but you got to keep it out of the fence, and he's been doing a pretty good job.
Well, and that road racer mentality, I think, would play well here. The idea of passing cars where it's not going to slow you down, like in the middle of the straightaway, diamonding the corner, late apexing the corner, racing the racetrack. Fellows like Sam Hornish, AJ Allmendinger, Montoya, this should play to their strength. Until, as you said, you get 43 of them out there all side by side.
Yeah.
That's a little different.
It's so much fun to race with somebody that knows how to race this racetrack. People like David Pearson, Bobby Allison, Richard Petty, Buddy Baker. Those guys knew when you caught them, they let you by on the straightaway. I always thought I'd catch them and they just pull over on the straightaway. I said, man, that's weird. Why are they being so nice? Well, they were being so nice because that doesn't slow you down. That doesn't put them in any jeopardy. It doesn't put you in any jeopardy, and you continue on the flow of the race.
Sam Hornish in that 77 car right now, he's 22nd quickest, but Darrell mentioned these guys that they have to qualify on time. A couple of them just jumped in front of Denny Hamlin. Mike Bliss in the 09 car is quickest, and Michael McDowell in that 55 car is second quickest now in front of Hamlin.
Well, I'd feel pretty good about that for these guys if those times were in the 27s. I think that's where these fast cats will be when they tape up and put tires on.
No question.
So a new look to the top 10 with 2 of the Go-Go homers at the top. Jamie McMurray has McBusted the wall here at Darlington. I'll show you what happened to the number 1.
It's pretty serious right here.
Goes down into turn 3. He's up there in no man's land. So other than Clint Boyer, maybe Travis Quapple, of our 8 cars that's hit the wall, they've all been right down there in middle of turn 3 and 4 and turn 4.
I just know from the past, when you really get through 1 and 2 really good, you know, you can get the throttle down like we hear Hamlin doing. You are entering turn 3 at about 190 miles an hour.
Wow.
And that turn was not meant to be entered at 190 miles an hour.
Not even close.
Mark Martin now 16th in his GoDaddy.com Chevy. And A.J. Allmendinger is now fastest. Wow, the Dinger, 28.381.
So
on his 33rd of 34 laps.
A lot of these teams near the closing minutes of this first practice, looks like they've decided to make a little fresh tire, possibly practice qualifying run.
I think it's probably just tires right now, just to see what the car will do on new tires. Plus, that's a nice lap when you think about how hot it is out there right now.
Yeah, it was 125 degree track temp when we started this practice, and I'm sure that's even up even more. Mark Martin he's coming to running 50 laps in this practice so far. David Reagan has run 65 laps in that 6 car.
Starter has the flags in hand, so we're probably seeing the last lap of opening practice, with final practice to follow and qualifying later today right here on Speed.
Kurt Busch 7th quickest, by far the fastest of the 4 Dodges that are here.
Take somebody like Mark Martin that's run that many laps. He wants to run enough laps so that when he tells Lance something to do to the car, look here who we got in the garage today.
David Pearson.
Boy.
On the left.
And I'm telling you right now, he thinks he could get in any one of these cars out here and outrun the guys that's driving them.
And you know what? I think he could.
I think he could too. And I want to say hello to Larry. I hope his son Larry's doing a whole lot better in a speedy recovery.
I talked to Larry's wife yesterday, and Larry's doing quite well. In fact, the reason Larry couldn't talk to me, he was actually doing an interview with someone.
Larry injured in that race of legends up at Bristol, Tennessee earlier. Pearson was the master of Darlington and of qualifying at Charlotte and a lot of other places.
Yeah, 12 poles here and 10 wins for the Silver Fox.
He needs Leonard Wood walking alongside him to be perfect.
Practice is over, and A.J. Allmendinger from Los Gatos, California, the ex-kart road racer, wins first practice with Dave Blaney, Mike Bliss, Michael McDowell, all go or go homers at the top of the board. And those most in risk of missing the show right this moment, Reed Sorensen, J.J. Yaley, and Max Pappas. Now here's the practice times order of those who must qualify on time later today. We're going to go across to Steve Burns, and we'll get ready for final practice coming up in just about 30 minutes.